So, having just reviewed and experienced Masters of the Universe, Revelation, and I Am Not Starfire within a week of each other, I found my will to live slowly drained. Wasn't helped by sitting through the wreck that was the Snake Eyes movie. Then I saw that Transformers War for Cybertron Part 3 Kingdom dropped on Netflix, and so I watched it and I have some thoughts. But before we get too far into that, my comic book Malevolent Rising issue number 5 is currently funding on Indiegogo.com. I really hope you guys check that out. Put a link in the description below, and now on with the review. So watching Transformers War for Cybertron, I thought this would be a good opportunity to compare it with He-Man, being that both are 80s properties and both dropped on Netflix. And we'll see that one of them treated its characters with respect and treated the IP as something to be taken seriously. The other one was Masters of the Universe Revelation. So let's get into that a little bit. So, Transformers War for Cybertron is kind of a reimagined prequel of the original cartoon. It has nothing to do with the whirling massive lawnmower parts that is the Michael Bay movies. This is back to the 80s, but back on Cybertron, millions of years before the Transformers came to Earth, and it takes us through many eras of Transformers, from G1 all the way into and including the Beast Wars. So because this begins on Cybertron and the initial Civil War, it really gives us a chance to focus on the differences between the Autobots and Decepticons, and primarily between their leaders, Optimus Prime and Megatron. Now, Megatron in this series just finished fighting a war for liberation for Cybertron and has liberated the Transformers from their former masters. And Optimus Prime is leading kind of this upstart rebellion against Megatron, who's really trying to rule through control. And his utopian vision for Cybertron is really built on the backs of the labor force that is Cybertron. That is where the Autobots come from, whereas the Decepticons are the industrial military side of everything. The Decepticons aren't played as cartoonishly evil here. They have just freed Cybertron. They want peace, but the way they do it is through control with an iron grip. And the Autobots, as contrast, want freedom, but at the same time, they are like a dog chasing a car. If they were able to take Cybertron, they really don't know what to do with it. They don't have an organizational structure to fall back on. So both sides are fighting for what they think is right, and both sides are fundamentally flawed, which leads us into the battle that we see in the cartoon. Now, Cybertron just finished a major revolution led by the Decepticons, and now they're fighting a civil war. So resources were already scarce to begin with and are running short. The Autobots are leading kind of guerrilla tactic warfare against the superior forces of the Decepticons. And with these dwindling resources, Optimus Prime has come up with a plan that the only way to get the upper hand will be to take control of the Allspark, the greatest power on Cybertron. So this really goes into Optimus Prime and Megatron's personalities, how they rally troops to their side, and what they ultimately want to do. Megatron very much wants to rule with an iron grip. He wants control, but at the same time, his end goal is still peace, just like Optimus Prime. But Optimus Prime wants freedom for all, which is something the Autobots don't currently have, so that's where their ideology tends to split apart. And as they bring forces to their side, people change sides, people lose faith in their leadership and defect to the other side. There's neutral factions on Cybertron that are at this point basically being forced to choose a side because you cannot be neutral in this side. It's almost a bit of a commentary on what's going on in the country right now. So one of the big differences in this show also is how they treat their female characters. Now, in He-Man, Teela and Evelyn and all of those characters, Ardra, the ladies, were center stage, and they were just the modern trope of strong, flawless female characters with no personalities. That's not fun to watch. Now, in the Transformers, the original cartoon, there was really only one female Transformer, and she was introduced kind of late. This show introduces a fair amount at the beginning. And they all have differing personalities and motivations. Chromia, for example, is very empathetic and very caring, but at the same time, she's a bit brash, gets herself into trouble more often than not. Whereas a character like Elita 1, who's Optimus Prime's second-in-command and pseudo-love interest, is very capable and very stoic leader, almost counterpart to Optimus Prime, who's new to the leadership role and unsure of himself, and sometimes he needs a voice to assure himself of his decision-making. And of course, we got the OG girl Autobot, RC, who plays a bigger role as the series goes on. And these women are strong and smart and capable and are able to stand shoulder to shoulder with their male counterparts without having to denigrate them, humiliate them, talk down to them, or make them less than they should be. Because strong characters shouldn't have to tear down everyone around them to show how strong they are, yet they are just as central and just as pivotal to the story as their male counterparts. This show even goes into bringing in characters from expanded universes and future eras of the Transformers, like Galvatron and Nemesis Prime, as well as the Beast Machines. So, is this a perfect show? No, it has its flaws. The character models are a bit clunky. The animation can reflect that every now and then, and it's still just the basic Transformers, Autobots and Decepticons wrecking each other. It's just the story is fleshed out a bit and give it a bit more nuance. Characters have more personality, and the two factions have very unique and interesting perspectives, and it's actually pretty interesting to watch. Whereas Masters of the Universe was a flaming pile of garbage that brought us nothing but gender politics and agenda-driven creative decisions. So, if you just want a good, fun sci-fi style story, then I can definitely recommend Transformers War for Cybertron. Or if you're a fan of the old Transformers franchise and have been kind of missing it, not getting that fill from the Michael Bay movies, I think this scratches that itch probably as well as anything could. So it's definitely an improvement over the Masters of the Universe, and definitely does the 80s a bit more respect than Masters of the Universe and that Snake Eyes dribble did. So anyway, short video, kind of a bonus video today, but I wanted to end the week on something positive. So tell me what you think of the video. If you've seen the Transformers War for Cybertron, tell me what you thought of it overall. Kingdom is the conclusion. There's three parts of the trilogy, both consisting of, I believe, 6 episodes. So if you haven't seen them, I'd recommend it. If you have seen them, I'd like to know your opinion. Or if you don't plan to watch them, let me know what about it turns you off. Are you just not a fan of the Transformers? You just don't think they can do them right anymore? Let me know in the comments below. While you're down there, please hit like and subscribe. Help the channel grow. I really do hope you check out my Indiegogo campaign. And thanks for taking a little bit of time to discuss comics with me. Or in this era of more just pop culture stuff. And I will talk to you in the next video.